Hey everyone. Day 25 going live. I actually didn't put in my mic. I'm going to go and do that now. I'll make for better audio. I actually do have a standalone mic. I don't know if it's very good though. I'll try it one of these days. Hello. Hopefully this is better. Great. And gave some people some time to hop on if they were going to hop on. All right, so we are at day 25 in the Equitable Grading in STEM Planner. And this has been a journey that we've been on. We've been going 30 days, or we're headed towards 30 days of live streaming on many of the things that we should be considering as we are trying to implement more equitable grading in our STEM classrooms. And I had a good friend, shout out to Mike Taubman, who had named that these strategies are not necessarily just for STEM teachers, because when you're talking about equitable grading and the level of reflection that we're doing, it actually can work in any content area. So maybe I should change the name, but I work mostly with STEM educators, and so that's why this book was written, and it talks more about my journey as a STEM educator, as a science educator, and lessons learned from that. If you remember, I've mentioned before that the planner is based off of chapter 8 in this book here. Equity Builds Expertise, 9 strategies for STEM educators to reach all students. And chapter 8 has us focus in on the 8th strategy, which is implementing equitable grading. And so I created the planner as a way to help all of us really figure out and think through what are the practices that we're currently doing, what are the things that we have in our zone and area of impact that we can legitimately my family is having dinner right now, so you'll probably hear them in the background. But it's what are the things that we can do that will help us to make legitimate changes within our grading system to ensure that more students are engaging in a community and in our classrooms and learning the content and being assessed on the content in a way that is truly equitable. All right. So, curiosity and questions. I usually start with a quote, and the quote for today is from, I have new glasses, and so this is a little bit hard to read, but because my eyes have to get used to them. But the quote is, "Curiosity is the engine of achievement." I love that quote, actually. It's by Ken Robinson, and curiosity is the engine of achievement. That to me, it means that when we are curious and we show curiosity, both in what we've done, in what we haven't yet done, what we want to know more about, it can do nothing but move us forward in a direction towards achievement, towards some goal. And the goal may simply be understanding. The goal may be knowledge. The goal may be understanding why we may have gotten something wrong, but it's going to move us in that direction. It may, when talking about individuals, it may mean that we get to know someone that we hadn't known before or understand a perspective. It helps to build empathy. All of the things that we know make for better communities, better working together. So today, as I said, we're diving into a hashtag curiosity driven learning and hashtag growth mindsets in STEM. And we're doing this by encouraging student questions. Yes. So in higher level classes like an AP biology, AP chemistry, or calculus, students often think that they're supposed to just get the right answer. But the truth is that STEM advances because someone asked a better question. And it comes down to that, asking the better questions, asking the right questions. And that's a funny thing to say because really there aren't wrong questions. It's asking those questions that take the discussion further. And so, as a reflection prompt for today, I would love for you to think about how do you embrace curiosity in your lessons instead of just rushing to cover content? And I know it's hard, especially when you're teaching some of those AP classes, higher level classes, and honestly, all STEM classes. There's a pretty tight curriculum that we're working against. And again, this can hold true for all content areas. And because of that, we feel that we need to cover the breadth of everything. But what if we paused and actually considered diving into not the breadth, but the depth of content, right? So, how do you embrace curiosity in your lessons instead of just rushing to cover all the content? So here's some things to really think about. Because the action I'm going to propose that you do is to design a class session that intentionally makes space for questioning and exploration. Now, if you follow the 5E lesson format, which is definitely embraced and embraces the next generation science standards, you will include questions and you will include a day of exploration, right? That's the explore, right? Um, Aspect of the 5E lesson. However, if it is not part of that lesson format, there's still room to include it. So, for example, if we were in an AP chemistry class, you could consider before launching into something like equilibrium, maybe show a reaction that doesn't behave as students would predict. And then you get to ask the question, why might this system resist change? Let them brainstorm explanations before you reveal Le Chatelier's principle. Something like that, right? And then for bio, right, you could present the CRISPR as that model, that as a tool, but don't explain all the mechanics right away. Ask if you could edit one gene in an organism, what would you want to change and why? This primes them to see the ethical and the scientific stakes. And that could launch into a bioethics lesson and so much more. And now students will start to see the thought, it'll see the tension, they'll see the intention that goes behind a lot of the research, a lot of the interpretation, and the communication behind studies. What about AP Calculus? So for AP Calculus, now we're talking math, right? You could pose a real world scenario. Please pose a real world scenario, like predicting when two moving objects will collide, right? This is the physics and calculus connection, but it's so important. So if you have students do the work of predicting when two moving objects will collide, do that instead of giving them derivative rules up front. Let students wrestle with it, and you can ask, how could we find the exact moment two rates meet? Those ideas that they come up with can actually pave the way for teaching a lot of topics, but mostly related rates, right? It's kind of a tongue twister. Physics. You could start with a unit on waves by playing two notes slightly off pitch and asking, why do we hear that strange pulsing beat? Again, students' curiosity sets up the math of interference. This is something that I know my twins would probably enjoy engaging in a conversation around that if you relate it to something like music or art or something that is very tangible and that they're interested in. So those are just a few of the examples of how we can infuse questions into our lesson and spark that curiosity with intentionality so that students can jump right in with being engaged, jump in with a conversation and learning that whatever it is that we're teaching at the moment has real life application for them. Curiosity is the engine of science and mathematics. When we honor students' wonderings and honor their questions, we actually help them see themselves not just as learners, but as actual problem solvers. And that's what we want. We want to see them see themselves as having a great impact on the world around them, and see themselves in solving the problems, and in a lot of the people that they've read about, they should be able to see this as something that is very possible for them. So with that, we want them to be able to see themselves in the story, and we know how important stories are because every grade tells a story. So we want to make sure that we're making it one that's worth telling. All right. I will see you for tomorrow, day 26. We're on to our last 4 days of this 30-day live stream. And I hope you are enjoying this. And if you are, please don't forget to subscribe. Tell a friend to subscribe for more information. All right. Have a great evening.